What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is another video in the Fit Barbados series where we feature some of the amazing health and wellness professionals as well as athletes on this beautiful island. And today I'm with a big dog, none other than the avatar Alkemist. I'll allow him to do his thing and introduce.
Thank you for having me, man. Yeah, we've gone through some training already, some movements, some skits, some content to look out for, but this is supposed to be about me. This is the hard part. So I have to talk about myself.
I'm hearing a little bit of a British accent. What's the background, the British background?
Yeah, so I was born and raised South London. Big up to everybody from South London. Special people come from that place. I played basketball most of my life. I thought that's what I would still be doing. And this is the short, concise version. I studied sports science and coaching studies at university. I worked in a supplement store. I sold washing machines. All the while I was still going to the gym, all the while I was still encouraging people in the gym. Somebody said to me one day, hey, why don't you train people? And it clicked, man. The light bulb hasn't gone off since. And I believe I have grown and continue to grow in this field. I term it now as giving my gift because I just feel like a vessel. Anybody that I train with, I stop for moments because when you receive downloads, you got to be very still. And then I just feed it and funnel it to people regardless of them being performance athletes, sedentary, elder adults, and everything in between. It's just figuring out a person in relation to their body. And yeah, assessing all lifestyle factors, what they do in the gym, and giving my gift. I try and make a joke every 20 seconds. So this is very uncomfortable for me, not making any jokes. But yeah, it's through the social element, through what I've learned in my time as an athlete, through what I'm learning now working with all different types of people, and really learning that fitness is best when personalized.
I love that. I love that. Now, this is like the second time I've worked with you, done some type of collab, and every single time, one thing that really amazes me is how much of a focus you put on the mind-body connection. So really dialing into the specific areas that you're trying to train, focusing on the breathing, focusing on being present, doing everything with intention. And so I guess my question to you as like someone who's really breaking into personal coaching and that type of stuff as well is, do you have a training philosophy, and what would you say that your philosophy is?
See, philosophy seems like it's like one term, one blanket statement. I have an approach. And, being that I focus on making my fitness holistic, as in I'm assessing more than just this person's body. I'm assessing, their history, using their body. Have they been an athlete or have they never played sports? Because the way you're going to receive information and cues is going to differ. Lifestyle factors, stress management, sleep, nutrition, and access to certain foods. So my philosophy is come as a whole person. The more you show me, the more I can help you with. Yeah, try and incorporate as many aspects of your being as possible.
Right.
And I think generically we can say yes physically, yes mentally, yes spiritually, but really try and understand the roles they play individually and then how they work in conjunction with one another. If, for example, you've never had somebody cuss you out and say, yo, and call you a maggot and every other word and every other... Not that I do that to my clients, but if you've never had any type of push that can be taken... Right. Or if you're hypersensitive, right? I have to learn that. And when I first started training, I had one mode. It was like, this is the plan on paper. You have to do these things so we get these results. And the only metrics was how much a person weighed, how many calories they could eat, their age, their weight, their BMI, you know what I mean? But a person is more than just numbers. So the nuance, right, I'm humanizing the process. That's a good philosophy. I think on my page it says teaching humans or helping humans figure out fitness. So zeroing in on humanity, you're more than just your physical body. I need to learn how you best take criticism because you're going to make mistakes, right? So if I can encourage you, by maybe speaking on where we're trying to get to, why we're putting in all this effort, why it has to be difficult for it to pay off, as opposed to just belittling you, some people like that. It's a kink for some people. But, more like saying, yo, how come you can't do that? What's up? I thought you were strong. Some people respond very well to that. I'm not degrading or being disrespectful, but some people will take that and it will shut them down. They may need a more sensitive touch. So touching on philosophy, humanize the process. And my job working through that philosophy is to help humans figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, no, I understand. So piggybacking off what you just said, you are an athlete yourself. I'm an athlete. We know how brutal it can get in some weight rooms when you're, we see it as all good fun sport, motivating each other, that type of stuff. But in sports, you definitely have that, black and white outcome that you're trying to achieve, right? You're trying to run faster, jump higher, put more points on the board, get more wins. For the clients that you work with now who are, yes, some might be athletes, but from like the general population a little bit more, what would you say from your experience so far has been some of the more common issues that some of your clients face?
Consistency. So, people say I want to be consistent, but we have to first figure out what it's consistent. What is the consistent output?
Like, what does that look like for every person?
What does that look like for you? So it's funny you touched on athlete, right? Part of my philosophy, even though I didn't mention it, was everybody is an athlete. It's to figure out your sport, right? Your sport could be the father of three. You're a businessman. So you would then take into account, how do I make sure these long commutes don't wear down my back so when I get home I can still pick up my children? These will kind of funnel, at least on my end. I might not communicate with everybody immediately, but at least on my end, it will give us the black and white. You know what I mean? So then through conversation, I can say, yo, when you pick up your children, is that something that you do with ease? Is it something that you want to do more? How long do you spend commuting to work? Seemingly two different questions. But I'm able to draw lines between their performance because they are athletes. And we want to adapt them so that they feel successful, they feel accomplished in what they do most often. Similarly, if you play football, what you do most often is geared towards football performance. If you're a father, if you're a partner, what you do most often will be geared to your performance in that sense. And back pain isn't just going to hinder you picking up your children, it's going to affect your mood. So it can if your sport, or if you see yourself as an athlete in the sense of being a good partner, you're suffering from back pain, you're going to be a little more snappy. So it just delves into how complex people are as human beings and how fitness is an entryway into redefining your sense of self. You know what I mean? Am I showing up in my life as an effective athlete if life is my sport?
Understood. Brilliant. And I guess last question really that I have top of mind, I don't know if there's anything that you want to ask me, but in terms of transitioning from the UK to Barbados, right? What would you say are some of the differences in mentality towards health and wellness? I don't know if you want to go pros, cons, if you want to talk about similarities, I don't know. But kind of what has your experience been as a practitioner and as, let's just call it a health and wellness enthusiast who might be also looking for like community and that type of stuff. So like comparing your experiences that you had in London to what you're seeing here in Barbados.
Similarities. That's one that jumped out first. Human beings are, we're habitual, right? So as the new year comes around, everybody's like New Year's resolution, I want to get in shape. So that's already similar, right? Something that stands out here, still related to a date on the calendar, is obviously crop over. So carnival season, especially the girls, they want to be outside looking a certain way. Everything got to be snatched. Everything got to be sitting right. We're now in band launch season, so everybody's thinking, yo, what will I look like in this outfit, that outfit? And that has been very unique, but it's something that you can't neglect. You know what I mean? In the sense that even with the people that I already have, so not even from a marketing and getting new clientele perspective, some people just come back around this time of year and I know to expect them. Or for clients who are consistent year round, we just shift into a different year. Wow. So we're able to identify a goal different to England. There's still Notting Hill Carnival, but it's not island-wide. It's not as much pressure to look a certain way. That came up first couple of years, and I was like, oh, Chad, you got to be ready. This time next year, if you want to do a class, do it around this time. And that will kind of lead into the culture here, what I found when I reached there. Came here with no plan, bro. No, I got off the plane, I was searching gyms in Barbados. And what I found a lot of was almost like fetes. essentially, right? So, you know, they're fitness classes. Shout out to everybody that's doing it because they're doing it. Like Spinny, for example, right? Especially seasonally as it relates to crop over, but all year round, people want to get together, listen to music that they like, and have fitness kind of bled into social element, music that they enjoy, setting and environment that they enjoy as well. I'm sure there's no alcohol, but bar that is a fact, right? That's something that I was like, yeah, a lot of people like to just pay a little change and come together. It's great. I think any type of fitness that you're doing and you're getting people out of the house, you're getting people to work, to use each other as accountability partners. Right. I know I'm going to see her or him there, so I'm going. You're building and fostering community around fitness, which is great. I do also believe in what I do, which is a little more bespoke, a little more personalized, especially people who have performance goals or specific ailments. It's like, I need to sit down with you. And, you know, we need to break down what it is that you need. You need a controlled environment where you're able to focus on attention to detail. I have clients that do both, and I champion it. I'm going to write my program aware that in 2 days' time, you're going to go and walk up for an hour. You know what I mean? So I got to make sure maybe you don't burn out your legs too much. But just trying to find my place in a space that was dominated by cultural nuance. You know what I mean? I'm new to the culture. I'm not coming in and trying to replicate what's already here. Another part of your question, you asked me just my experience here as a fitness practitioner. Smaller pond. So you're bound to rub shoulders, shake hands, have conversations with most of the people in your industry. And so there's the pros. Some of the potential cons are you can kind of get lumped into one basket, essentially. Right. And this is where I'm a tiptoe. Because, again, if you're getting people out of the house and they're training, it's already great. So we're starting the bar from great. We're not starting the bar from, these people shouldn't be doing this. And you hear a lot of that because, I get it does reflect on us. And if you're looking at videos and form is off, and why would they choose the exercise? Cool. You also got to trust that we live in a time where information is relatively free. So if somebody is paid for that, either they took the time to research why or they didn't, but they have the power to. So you kind of have to have these blinders on as to these are my clients and they're doing what they're doing. This is why. I recently moved to a gym that's a lot smaller. So we have more of a community feel. So we ask questions and we share, different people might have different specialities and we will just go to them and say, what would you think about this? That's the benefit of a lot of the gyms here because they are a lot smaller and a lot closer. Community has backfired sometimes, but I learned from everything. I'm unstoppable. But there's been times where you're almost in too close proximity and you're shining a little too bright. And I think there's more than enough people here. Like, you go any country you go to, you know what I mean? If you're doing a certain service, if you price a certain way, and again, mine is bespoke, I'm spending a lot of time and care and attention with you, price a certain way so that you don't need to take everybody. Get your clientele, stick with them, change their life, scale your business, offer other alternatives. I think as it alludes to people who are just getting into the fitness segment, like how you're now getting started and getting up and running, I think you're approaching it from the right start point. You're starting. A lot of people wait for the paperwork and think the paperwork, you get to the end of it, you can understand the body, it's great, but you don't know how to market. So you coming in with understanding of marketing is huge, but if you don't have that, it's like offer your services for free, intern, find people who are doing what you're doing already. I had a guy come and shadow me. He was, 19, and he just came in and just lifted all the weights. It was great. For like 2 weeks, I had to lift nothing. I miss him. But a lot of the life I tried to speak into him was take care of yourself as a person. I think you get to a point where everybody knows lunges, everybody knows squats, everybody knows push-ups, and knows how to coach them. So I'm not differentiating myself based on my exercise knowledge. It's how do you feel when you're training with me? And you're going to feel how I feel. Because a lot of people are coming to train with a trainer to borrow their confidence, to borrow their presence in the gym, to borrow their knowledge. So you're going to take more than that. You're going to take, for lack of a better term, my vibe as well, right? So I start pretty early. 5:30 I start. I'm up at 3 because it's like When you see me at 5:30, I'm wide awake. I'm a nap at 12. Trust me, I'm going to get my 6 hours and I'm gone and I'm napping. But for the time that I'm with people, my cup is full. So I can just, hey, look, I got patience for you. Or you want to take your time less, you know what I mean? I used to, when I first started this, and this can be the issue with just following the coursework. I used to be like, the coursework says, if we do this exercise for this long, we'll get this results. We'll be able to measure them this way. And then you get in there and you realize you're not working with a robot. You're working with a person, a complex person at 5:30. A complex person at 5:30 is, you know what I mean? They might not want to do anything. It's like, how do you keep things going? How do you keep things moving? And there's not as much logic or tests that can get you ready for that. It's practice, it's people skills. It's, I had a physio, she calls it bedside manner. And it's like, she says she got people working under her and she can't teach that. Life to an extent has to teach that. Risk-taking, reaching out to people, building community. And that kind of touches on the point that if you're doing it at any level, it's good. We all have areas where we can learn. But another thing I would say that's come up very recently is I start to see my mind as a processor, which has made my job a lot easier. I'm not a database. So because I work with a lot of women now, some older people, and a few athletes, I have to refresh my memory on the few athletes. I have a guy that plays badminton, and I have a guy that plays football. Right. If you come into me, I could have played basketball for my whole life. You come into me about basketball, I'm going to go and research it. Wow. Because then it's like, I need to refresh. If I look at exercise, I can figure out why you're doing it. Right? But I can figure out how you can do it more efficiently and then how it translates to your game. I have to look at it, though. You know what I mean? I can't just go in my memory and go and get it, because there's so much more to the job you'll forget. And I very plainly tell my clients, like, that I need to refresh consistently. So I would say that to anybody that's up and coming as well. Just constantly be open to learning, not to add to a database so you can just log it, but to refresh. It's cyclical. You will forget if you don't use it. You know what I mean? Somebody comes in and you want to work with them, look at some information attached to their field and then assess, can I work with them? That's delicate advice, though, because if you're starting out, work with everybody. Work with everybody. Work with everybody. Like, figure it out on the fly.
I love that. Alkemist, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
You gave me a lot of personal tips I know that I can take, and a lot of knowledge that I can use. But I know that you've given the audience some amazing, tips and insight into what it means to be a practitioner here in Barbados. And we are the builders of the culture. You know what I mean? And one thing that I really want to do, and the reason why I'm building this platform, is to really show all the different outlets that are out there, show all the different people doing amazing work in the health and wellness sector. And you are someone that we've really naturally built a really good relationship. I always felt that vibe from you. We worked out in the gym, and it all came together nicely. So Bespoke, Avatar Alkemist, doing his thing, one of the best in the industry here. I'll put all of his information down in the description below, guys. If you've watched until this point, thank you so much. Don't forget to smash the like button so that we can get this out to as many people as possible. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.
Peace. That was one take.